Hi there. Welcome to this edition of Safety First. We're here at Suffolk's Emergency Operations Center where we're going to discuss that time of year that everyone kind of dreads, winter season. We're going to talk about how you can start your family plan now, get your kit together, so that this way here you're not left out in the cold. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. We're here now with Captain Judkins, Emergency Management Coordinator for Suffolk Fire and Rescue. Thanks for joining me, Captain.
My pleasure as always.
Now today we kind of want to talk about winter preparedness because it kind of sneaks up on everyone. People aren't really, they think about it kind of in the back of their minds, but then when the storm possibly hits, that's when they start scurrying into action. Is there something we can do beforehand to kind of get ready for the season?
Absolutely. Winter's just another one of those many seasons that we promote for preparedness in the city and the Commonwealth. And winter's no different. The methods are very similar. There's one or two things that may change for winter, but pretty much your methodology is the same. You create your family plan. Mm-hmm. You develop ways to stay up on the latest information or stay informed. Yeah. And of course, you create that family disaster kit, or if you're traveling for the holidays or the winter weather, you want to have a kit for your car in case you get stranded on the road.
Yeah. And now, are there any predictions for what kind of winter we're going to have? Because I know the Farmer's Almanac, there's certain different...
Yeah, and there are a couple of predictions we look at. Mm-hmm. I look mainly at the projections from NOAA's Climate Prediction Center.
Okay.
And right behind us, we see some of those forecasts here. We're looking at two particular items within the forecast. We look at the temperature, or how cold is it going to be this winter, and to back that up, we look at the precipitation. How much precipitation will we have?
Yeah.
So as we look at our graphics, the first one we look at is the temperature. Our section of the country, it's kind of a 50-50 chance it's going to be a cold winter. Yeah. It's not going to be super cold, but it's not going to be super warm. It's kind of going to be normal. Now, if we drift to the south, we see some cooler temperatures to the south of us, and as we look up to the north, we see some warmer temperatures. Okay. Now, where the rub comes in is in the precipitation. The projections for us, we're looking at to have a wetter than normal winter this year. So what does that do? More snow? So that gives us a better shot at having more snow. But again, it all boils down to those weather patterns coming through our area at the right time. It's totally timing as far as weather in Hampton Roads. It's kind of like running that perfect pass play at football. Yeah. The guy takes off down the sidelines and runs 60 or 70 yards. Absolutely. You know, it's the ball getting there at the same time the runner gets there. Same way with the weather. The cold air has to get there at the same time the moisture gets there. And normally our moisture comes up from the Gulf Coast and interacts with the cold weather. That's where we get ours.
And hopefully those snows happen about 2 a.m. in the morning and not 5 p.m. in the afternoon when they seem to always happen.
Yeah, we've had a couple of events in the past that just created havoc as far as the drive time traffic, and with that being said, Frank, that just drives home the importance of being prepared in your car as well as your home. Okay, so I guess the first thing we need to look at is as far as that plan. You know,
the family plan.
Your family plan, and it's, particularly if you're traveling, you want to make sure folks in your family know where you're going, the route you're taking. Particularly if the weather's questionable, because that way they can backtrack on you.
And absolutely, you should probably look at the weather to where you're going along your route, so this way here no surprises.
Absolutely, so you can have the best information in order to make the best decision. There's even emergency worksheets out there that you can get and pull the plan together on that. Having that out-of-town contact, you know, if you're heading from point A to point B, you know, along the way you may lose phone contact, you know, as the way with power and all. You can
especially power lines go down, cell towers.
Yes, that sort of thing. So you need to have an out of the area contact for that, and develop that contact so that everybody in your family, particularly if it's a large family call, that they can call and check in. Hey, I'm okay. Yeah. And that everybody the kit. If you're home, you know, the ideal thing for you to do in winter weather at home is to just hunker down and stay there.
Okay, just stay at home. Don't go out anywhere. Make sure you have your supplies. So is it the same kind of kit with like a hurricane, or is it a different?
Pretty much for home it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
And that's the non-perishable food items, the extra water, particularly if you live in an area where it's serviced by a well, you want to make sure you have your water like that. Your medicines. If you have anybody in your family that's medically dependent upon electricity, work out a plan to have some backup power sources for those devices. Inverters for cars, backup generators. Talk to the vendors to work that out, because you know you're depending on those devices for their well-being. So you need to work through that issue, and power packs for our cell phones. You know, the smartphones, the battery life is not what they used to.
No, it's not at all.
So you can get kind of creative on some of the things. They're actually solar devices. Of course, if it's snowing, it won't work. But they're actually devices that you can get to help.
And I guess a big difference would be the heat, right?
The heat. 150, 100 years ago, we didn't worry about that because everybody had an alternate source of heat. Matter of fact, the main source of heat was usually wood or coal or a kerosene or fireplace like that. Now most of us have heat pumps. So part of that family plan is, what am I going to do if my lights go out and I can't run my heat pump? So you may want to come up with some portable heat source, propane, kerosene, that sort of thing. But again, if you're using those heat sources, make sure you have a qualified installer put them in for you, and make sure you adhere to safety standards with that. Lighting, forget about the candles, folks. That can create another tragedy within an event. So stay with your battery lanterns. That's some really nice battery lanterns. The falling asleep point is really a great piece when you're using generators. Don't use your generator on your porch. Don't put it in your garage, because it could create a real tragedy for your family. Make sure you have a safe place outside where you can set that up. And of course, the staying informed piece, knowing where to get the latest information from the media, from Suffolk on Alert, from the city's website, the latest information on what's going on.
Yeah, because if there's something happening, the city is definitely actively working to get information out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, through Facebook, social media, everything. So that's where I guess the smartphones, especially having batteries, would make sure that so you can stay informed when the power goes down.
Absolutely. Some of the phones that are out there that are powered by other sources other than the normal Verizon hardwire phones. If they lose electricity, you lose that phone. So with that being said, having that backup source to keep your cell phone or smartphone charged is really starting to be important, so you can keep in touch with the latest information.
Yeah, and communication, as you said, is key, not only between the city and our citizens, but also between you at home with friends and family.
Absolutely, absolutely. That way we can if they're late getting in, then we can call 911 and tell them, hey, I've got some family members overdue, and they were supposed to be at a certain time. This is the route they're going, and that way they can backtrack and check on their well-being.
Now, in terms of smartphones, what kind of apps can people download that might help them in an emergency?
Well, there's a free app available at both the iStore and the Google Play. It's the Ready Virginia app. And you can create your plan on that app. You can get the latest weather updates from the National Weather Service and Virginia Department of Emergency Management, and a lot of other helpful tips to keep you informed in an event.
So there's really no reason someone shouldn't have it, because
it's free. Yeah, absolutely.
And as you said, it also has resources on there for you to download, so you can create that family plan.
And it gives you prompts the way you can think about things in advance of the storm.
Yeah. And I guess one of the biggest things is that a lot of times in the middle of a storm, say you've got 4 inches outside, it's still coming down, sometimes people think, oh, I got to run to the store, or I want to, because it's not that bad. But what advice would you give in the middle of a storm? Things are happening. What advice? Middle
of the storm, my advice will always be stay put until things get better.
Stay at home. And you mentioned, I think earlier, snow, right?
Yeah.
And there's an acronym for that.
Absolutely. The acronym, stay off the road and not out in the weather.
Stay off the road, not out in the weather. Yeah, especially because, people love just getting out there because they think it's not that bad.
Yeah, and let's face it, you can't drive 55 miles an hour on a snow-covered road. It's just not safe.
Is there any advice for driving in the snow?
Of course, the primary advice is to stay off it. But if you've got to be out in it, drive very slow and don't stop suddenly.
Yeah. Because even people with four-wheel drive, they think that I've got four-wheel drive, I can get out there in the snow and I'll have no problems.
That's a false sense of security, particularly on ice.
Okay.
You can
it just doesn't
get in
matter.
trouble. It doesn't matter. You'll get in trouble just as quick with four-wheel drive as you can too.
Absolutely. Well, I know we mentioned get a kit. So we are going to be right back, and we're going to help you decide what to put in that kit and what should be in that kit. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're here again with Captain James Judkins. Now, we spoke a little bit earlier about the kit to have in your car in case you get stuck.
Absolutely, and like I said a moment ago, some of the basic things that are saying, for instance, your water, non-perishable food items, your high-energy snacks.
Okay.
If you get caught on the road and you're out in the snow, you want something that your body can use to create
some with good protein levels. And
to go with the warmth, the space blanket,
okay.
or you could have your regular blanket.
Yeah.
But these space blankets don't take up a whole lot of space.
Small, you can stick those in your glove box.
Absolutely. Fire extinguisher, first aid kit, battery boosters.
Okay.
Your tire repair kit in case you get a hole in your tire. And if you got a hole in your tire, you've got to come with some air. This is a little portable air compressor. Plug in your cigarette lighter, and you can pump your tire up.
It'll actually pump your tire up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great thing to have. Then of course your weather radio, where you can get the latest weather information. And of course, if you plan on digging yourself out, a shovel to have loose in your trunk. Even before conditions get bad, getting out on the road, you need to be able to see where you're going.
Absolutely.
So a scraper, ice scraper, and a squeegee to pull ice and snow off your windshield with that.
You can see. It's always good to see.
Absolutely. You
don't want to start with that fresh coat of snow on your windshield and start trying to drive.
Absolutely. Flares in case you get stranded on the road.
Okay.
A flashlight with extra batteries. And of course that cell phone charger to be ready there. And so what are we going to do? And of course if you're taking a long trip, a map in case you lose your GPS.
Yes.
So you got a paper map to fall back on that. So what are we going to do with all of this? A backpack is a perfect thing to keep
because it looks like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you
looks like this is going to cost me a lot of money, and it's going to take up most of my trunk space. But it's not if you get a backpack or something.
Exactly. As far as the money, if you're worried about that, you can get 1 or 2 items a week.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Everybody ought to have a set of jumper cables.
Absolutely,
let's face it. So you just build.
And a lot of new cars come with those.
Some of them do. Some of them do. And of course, your ice scraper. Everybody wants to have ice scraper. But the food, you get that along. Your fire extinguisher, you get it along. Anything else, you get it along instead of buying it all at one time if you're budgeting things. Of course, backpack or big tub container to keep it in your car.
Or a Tupperware bin or something like that.
And of course, the shovel for a big snow shovel, you can just lay it loose in your trunk or in your back space.
Now, you always hear about when winter comes up that you should get kitty litter. Kitty litter in your car. What is that all about?
The kitty litter is basically, you can get sand, beach sand or play sand, what they call it. But it actually gives your tires a little bit of traction. That storm comes up while you're at work. Your parking lot gets iced over. And you sit there and you try to back out of your parking place. Your tires spin. So you take and sprinkle a little of that kitty litter under your tire, and it gives you enough traction where you can get out of your parking space.
And slide right out of that spot and back into the snow. So I guess, in terms of creating a kit, making sure you have a kit, when situations arise that say you're driving down the road on a highway and the snow is falling fast, a lot faster than you anticipated, cars are starting to go off the road, what's the best safety measure you can take?
Okay, obviously, slow down, slow down, and slow down.
Okay.
And maintain plenty of distance in front. 3 car lengths or more, because when people start applying the brakes in ice and snow, cars don't go straight. They do all kinds of funny things. Your car as well as the car ahead of you, and you want to have plenty of room between you and the car in front of you, or even the one behind you, so that should something happen, that everybody can come to a safe stop.
Now, a lot of times, if people see someone sliding or stopping on the side of the road, they'll try to stop to help the other person. Is that a good idea in situations like this?
Of course, it's always good to help your neighbor, but if you're going to stop, you want to make sure that you don't become part of the problem with the other traffic. If you can get off the road, get out of the way safely, and help that individual, and find out if they need need some of your stuff you have in your kit.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if they need assistance making a call, or if they're okay, if they're having a medical emergency, then it's to do it. But again, we want to urge everybody to do it in a safe manner and get out of the way of the traffic.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be checking that app on your phone while you're driving.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You should make sure that's put down, and you can. And the flares here we mentioned kind of briefly. How do these help in a situation on the side of the road?
Of course, the flares put up something to catch your attention.
Okay.
A red light. In the case of a flare, the red light or glow. They're actually flashlight devices. You can do the same thing.
Okay.
But this helps set a safety zone around your car or a car that's in trouble to alert other motorists on the road. Hey, there's an issue here, and I need to exercise caution.
Now, is there one piece more than another that you'd recommend people to have?
Well,
if they can't have it all, say they're just getting on a trip, and it's starting to snow, and they need to get something for their kit.
Well, if you're taking a long trip and you know there's a chance you might get caught in the snow, the blankets and the food supply would
be number one.
Be number one.
And
then they would fall, and of course your charger for your cell phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and of course before you leave on your trip, you want to make sure that gas tank is topped off.
That's a very good point, because a lot of times we start our trips on E and say, "Oops, I didn't realize I needed gas."
If you get stranded on the side of the road, that car may be a source of heat for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there again, it's important to have that gas tank full.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And you heard it here, definitely. Make sure you get started with your winter preparedness plan now. Get your kit, get a family plan together, and definitely download that. What app was it?
Ready Virginia app.
Ready Virginia app. I'm going to make sure I go home now and download it. So you should too. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Safety First.